Hey everyone, my name is Paddy Healy and I come to Exida from the healthcare industry where I worked as a senior clinical engineer for the Irish Health Service for 22 years and as a product designer and advisor for many award-winning startups. I have a bachelor's degree in product design engineering and electronics from Dundalk Institute of Technology and a master's of science in clinical engineering from Cardiff University and the University of Wales. During my time working for the health service, I would have been on the other side of device failures, having to act on field safety alerts and work closely with medical device suppliers and manufacturers to try and implement solutions and fixes. The exciting part of my role is that at Exida, we work with product designers to ensure the product they design is safe and fit for purpose, and when it does fail, it fails in a predictable manner. I've been the certification manager for Exida Ireland since February of this year, and as you can guess, I'm based in Ireland. Fáilte Road, Quig an Webbaton, Shaw.
I'm Chris O'Brien, and I'm one of the presenters today. Let me give you a little bit of my background. I graduated from Villanova University with a Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering degree. I started my career at Moore Products Company, where I held multiple roles and received 5 patents, including a patent for the industry's first safety-rated transmitter. After that, I was VP of Power Systems at C&D Technology. There, we made large-scale DC backup systems for the industry. In 2005, I joined Exida. In my time here, I have helped our customers apply the functional safety standards for machinery, process safety, automation, and have worked with many clients around the world. I'm the co-author of our book on final elements and functional safety, and since 2019, I've been CEO of exida.com LLC, and hopefully I can share some of my experience and give you some insight into functional safety. Today we're going to focus on notified bodies and their role within primarily the machine applications in the machinery directive. And to do that, we're going to give you a little bit of background about Exida Ireland, an office that we established to support this initiative, notified body basics. We'll talk about conformity assessments, why they're needed and what's involved. We'll take a look at the machinery directive, which is the directive and regulation that is driving this requirement. And then finally talk about how Exida might be able to help you with your products and your projects. At Exida, we consider ourselves a customer-focused company. We're organized into 3 main business areas: tools, certification and assessment, and lifecycle services. All 3 of these areas are closely related and are focused on providing insight and support to our customer base. In our tool business is where we have our software tools, which are developed to help analysis and support the safety life cycles. We also have training as part of that business, as well as our template sets and our books. Our certification and assessment group is ANAB accredited, which is the US accreditation body, and is also INAB accredited. Kind of a unique distinction to be able to have a company accredited both in the European Union and the US. And we are also a notified body. So in that area, we help our clients with analysis and review of safety critical systems, as well as operational technology cybersecurity projects. And we help them through the analysis, the project, on all the way up to an assessment and certification if needed. Our lifecycle services groups helps asset owners or plat owners implement these standards. So obviously very closely related to certification, but this group is more focused on doing plant risk assessments for functional safety and cybersecurity, and then helping them bring their processes up to the level they need. Exida has a global focus from our beginning. Our first 2 offices were in Munich, Germany, and Sellersville, which is right outside of Philadelphia. Since then, we've grown to over 20 offices worldwide, and from those offices, we support our customers in those 3 business areas we just discussed. We have locally resourced training, we have assessors to help people, and we have safety lifecycle services around near there. One of our more recent offices is Exida Ireland. We established Exida Ireland in 2020. And as we were helping our clients, we had more and more requests for support in the machinery directive and some very specific European requirements. To support those customers, we needed to have accreditation by a European accreditation body. So we had ANAB from the US, and then we basically pursued accreditation for functional safety certification and NOBO status through INAB, the Irish National Accreditation Board. We've received that. We've received our notified body standards, so that's very good. We are located in Shannon in the industrial free zone, which is right next to the Shannon Airport, which is a hub for a lot of technology companies. And we are right next to the Starbucks. That's not why we picked our office space, but it's definitely a plus. So as part of our commitment to our customers and making sure we could support their needs, we expanded our ANAB accreditation and have become INAB accredited as well, leveraging heavily all the work we had done. And to that, we've also been accredited as a notified body, so we can provide those services. We've grown the team in Ireland to 9 people that work in all 3 of our areas: tools, assessment and certification, and end user services or project services.
We're going to dive into a topic that's crucial for anyone involved in manufacturing, especially industries like medical devices, machinery, and electronics. Today we're going to explore the concept of a notified body. In simple terms, a notified body is an independent organisation designated by a government authority or accredited by a national authority to assess the conformity of certain products with applicable European Union regulations and standards. They play a crucial role in ensuring the safety and compliance of products entering the European market. So next we're going to look at, now that we know what a notified body is, we're going to look at some of the key responsibilities. Notified bodies have several important functions, including product assessment. That is, they evaluate products to ensure they meet specific EU requirements and standards. A conformity assessment, that's where they assess whether products comply with relevant EU directives or regulations. And lastly, certification. After successful assessment, they issue certificates such as CE marks, which indicate a product's compliance with EU regulations. A notified body can serve many industries, such as, again, medical devices. They evaluate the safety and performance of medical devices, ensuring they meet high standards for patient safety. Machinery, which is specific to exida. In the machinery industry, notified bodies help manufacturers comply with safety requirements to prevent accidents. And then electronics. They assess electronic products to verify their compliance with EU regulations on electromagnetic compatibility and safety. Some of the other key important factors with being a notified body is that they must be independent and impartial. And this is a critical aspect of being a notified body. They must operate free from conflicts of interest to ensure fair and unbiased assessments. They should have the necessary expertise and technical competence in the industries they serve. And the benefits then to manufacturers is that they have access to the EU market. Products with notified body certificates can enter the European market, giving manufacturers access to millions of consumers. Compliance and safety, notified body assessment ensure that products are safe and meet EU regulations, reducing the risk of recalls or legal issues. And finally, customer trust. CE marks and other certificates from notified bodies build trust with customers who know the products have undergone rigorous testing. So in conclusion, notified bodies are a critical part of the regulatory landscape in the European Union. They ensure that products entering the EU market are safe, compliant and meet high quality standards. So within each country within the EU, there's a national accreditation organisation, and in Ireland that's INAB, the Irish National Accreditation Board, and exida Ireland is accredited by INAB. We're regularly audited by INAB to verify competency and adherence to the certification scheme, and as a certification body, exida is assessed to ISO 17065. Now 17065 certification ensures the competency of exida in providing certification for the quality of products, processes and services. And ISO 17065 accreditation, it builds trust and confidence among all interested parties in the quality of the product and its compliance with all regulatory standards. It basically levels the playing field and ensures that anyone who gets accredited by the notified body, that it's a standard process across the board, and you can ensure consistency wherever you get accredited. So the next thing we're going to talk about is NANDO, and NANDO stands for the New Approach Notified and Designated Organisations. It's a European Union database and system that plays a significant role in the regulation and certification of products within the EU. And some important information about NANDO. We'll talk first about its purpose and role. As I said, it serves as a central database and information exchange platform for notified bodies and designated organisations within the EU. And its primary purpose is to provide transparency and accessibility to information about organisations that have been designated or notified by EU member states to carry out conformity assessment procedures for various product categories. Then, talking about product categories, NANDO covers a wide range of product categories, including but not limited to medical devices, machinery, electrical equipment, toys, construction products and more. Obviously, we're talking about the machinery directive and regulation when we speak about exida. And different directives and regulations apply to each product category, and notified bodies must have the expertise and accreditation to assess products in specific areas. I suppose another key element of NANDO is that it provides transparency by allowing public access to information about notified bodies and designated organisations. Users can search the database to find details about specific organisations like exida and look up and see the scope of accreditation and the products they are authorised to assess. It also manufacturers seeking to place their products on the EU market must work with notified bodies to undergo the necessary conformity assessment procedures, and this information is available on the NANDO website. Having a product certified by a notified body is a critical step in obtaining the CE mark, which demonstrates compliance with EU requirements. And then I suppose finally, the key element of the NANDO website, it's regularly updated to reflect changes in the status of notified bodies and designated organisations. And this ensures that information is accurate and up to date. So conformity assessments, these are a process used to evaluate whether a product complies with specific standards, regulations or requirements, and these would have been established by regulatory authorities or industry bodies such as 13849, 61508, any of these kind of standards. The goal of a conformity assessment is to determine whether the item being assessed meets the necessary criteria for safety, quality and performance, ensuring that it can be safely used or marketed. Some of the key components and aspects of a conformity assessment are that it typically carried out against, as I said, established standards. These standards are set out by governments, international organisations such as ISO or industry associations. Some of the types of conformity assessments might involve testing. This involves conducting physical or laboratory tests on a product to check if it meets specific performance or safety criteria. An inspection, and this would be the examination of a product to ensure it meets relevant requirements. Certification, and this is where exida, being a third party organisation and a notified body in the EU, we can assess and certify that a product or system complies with the applicable standard and regulation, and in this case it's ISO 13849, the machinery directive. Another type of conformity assessment might be the verification and evaluation process to confirm that a product meets specified requirements. Or it might also be the assessment of a management system, and this is where a third party might evaluate the process and procedures a company has in place to ensure compliance with standards such as ISO 9001. Conformity assessments, they're often conducted by third party organisations which are independent of the entity producing the product. This independence helps ensure objectivity and impartiality in the assessment process. Successful conformity assessments also often result in the issuance of certification marks, labels or certificates that indicate compliance. So in the EU, a product that has successfully been certified to a particular standard legally can place the CE mark, and this signifies that the product meets the required standards. Conformity assessments, they're often a prerequisite for products to enter specific markets. They also play a critical role in ensuring that products are safe for consumers and meet expected quality levels. But I suppose the key takeaway and one of the most important parts of a conformity assessment is that it's not just a one-time event, but involve ongoing monitoring and surveillance to ensure continued compliance over time. So as part of a conformity assessment, the manufacturer or the authorised representative must draw up a declaration of conformity. Now, a declaration of conformity, this is a formal document issued by the manufacturer or, in some cases, an authorised representative of the manufacturer as part of the conformity assessment process. This document attests that a product complies with the relevant standards, regulations or requirements of a specific jurisdiction or market. Declarations of conformity are commonly associated with products that are subject to regulatory compliance, such as those bearing the CE mark in the European Union. And I suppose some key points regarding a declaration of conformity. It typically includes the following essential elements: identification of the product, that would be a description, the model, serial number, the name and address of the manufacturer or authorised representative, a statement that the product conforms to specific standards, regulations or directives, the date of issue of the declaration, the signature of the authorised person within the organisation, and details about the notified body that performed the conformity assessment. The most critical aspect of a declaration of conformity is the statement by the manufacturer or authorised representative that the product complies with all relevant regulatory requirements. This statement signifies that the product has undergone the necessary testing, evaluation and assessment to ensure it meets safety, quality and performance standards. In the European Union, the Declaration of Conformity is a mandatory document for products covered by EU directives. It is often associated with the CE mark, which signifies that the product complies with the EU regulations. Manufacturers are required to affix the CE mark on their products and provide a corresponding declaration of conformity to demonstrate compliance. The Declaration of Conformity is a legally binding document, and it implies that the manufacturer takes full responsibility for the conformity of the product with applicable regulations. If the product is found not to comply or causes harm, the manufacturer can be held liable. For many products, especially those sold in international markets, a declaration of conformity is essential for gaining access to those markets. It demonstrates to authorities, distributors and customers that the product meets the necessary requirements. It also often accompanied by supporting documentation such as test reports, technical files and other evidence of compliance. These documents provide further details about the product's conformity. And in some cases, especially for products subject to ongoing regulatory changes or regular assessments, manufacturers may need to renew or update their declarations of conformity to ensure continued compliance. So next we're going to talk about the Machinery Directive. What is it? How is it applied? And what does it mean to manufacturers? So, as we said, the Machinery Directive, it's a European Union directive that sets out essential health and safety requirements for machinery and equipment used in various industries. Its primary aim is to ensure the safety of machinery and to harmonise standards and regulations related to machinery within the European Economic Area, or the EEA, which includes EU member states as well as Norway, Iceland and Liechtenstein. Some key points about the Machinery Directive and how it's applied. The Machinery Directive applies to a wide range of machinery and equipment, including industrial machinery, consumer products with moving parts, agricultural machinery, construction equipment and more. It also covers safety components designed to protect machinery operators. The directive outlines essential health and safety requirements that machinery must meet to be placed on the market and put into service within the EEA. These requirements address various aspects of safety, including mechanical, electrical, and ergonomic aspects, as well as noise emissions and vibrations. Like other EU directives, compliance with the Machinery Directive is indicated by affixing the CE marking on the machinery. The CE mark signifies that the machinery meets the essential requirements of the directive and has undergone the necessary conformity assessment procedures. Speaking of conformity assessment, manufacturers of machinery are required to carry out a conformity assessment to ensure that their products meet the essential health and safety requirements. Depending on the category and risk associated with the machinery, this assessment may involve self-certification or third-party involvement, such as a notified body like exida. Manufacturers then must also create and maintain technical documentation that demonstrates how the machinery complies with the directive's requirements. This documentation should be made available for inspection by relevant authorities. Manufacturers must also provide clear and comprehensive user instructions and safety information with the machinery. This information helps operators understand how to safely use and maintain the equipment. It doesn't just lie with the manufacturers. There are also other obligations of economic operators. The directive outlines these responsibilities, such as operators in the supply chain, including, as I said, the manufacturers, but also importers, distributors, and authorized representatives. Each has a specific duty related to ensuring machinery compliance. EU member states are responsible for monitoring and enforcing compliance with the Machinery Directive within their territories. They have the authority to prohibit or restrict the placing of non-compliant machinery on the market. And then the Machinery Directive has been revised and updated over the years to align with technological advancements and safety standards. Just coming back to obligation of economic operators, just a bit more detail, that importers must ensure that the machinery coming from outside the EU or EEA complies with the directive before placing it on the market. Distributors must verify that the machinery they sell bears the CE mark and is accompanied by necessary documentation. And then authorized representatives, if appointed by non-EU manufacturers, act on behalf of the manufacturer to ensure compliance. Manufacturers should keep machinery up to date with any relevant changes to the standard or regulation. Periodic reviews and updates to machinery are important to maintain this compliance. So, after saying all this, what are the advantages, or what does this mean to manufacturers? It means they've access to the European market. Compliance with the Machinery Directive is a prerequisite for placing machinery and equipment on the EU and EEA markets. This allows manufacturers to access a large, lucrative consumer base comprising of over 500 million people. It also means harmonised standards. The directive harmonised safety and performance standards for machinery across the EU and EEA member states. This simplifies the manufacturing process by providing a single set of standards that can be applied across multiple markets, reducing the need for customisation. It enhances the safety. The directive places a strong emphasis on safety. Manufacturers must conduct risk assessments, design products with safety in mind, and provide clear user instructions. This focus on safety helps reduce the risk of accidents and injuries associated with the machinery use. Compliance with the directive allows manufacturers to affix the CE mark to their machinery. The CE mark is a recognised symbol of compliance with the EU requirements, which can build trust among customers and signal high-quality products. Manufacturers who adhere to the Machinery Directive fulfil their legal obligations within the EU and EEA markets. This helps prevent legal issues, recalls, and product liability claims that could arise from non-compliance. It also gives them a competitive advantage in the market. It demonstrates a commitment to quality and safety, which can be attractive to customers. It also reduces trade barriers. Compliance with the Machinery Directive facilitates trade within the EU and EEA. It minimises the need for additional testing and certification when moving machinery between member states. It also simplifies the documentation because manufacturers are required to create and maintain technical documentation as part of their conformity assessment, And while this may involve some effort, it simplifies the documentation requirements for accessing EU and EEA markets compared to dealing with different regulations in each member state. It also leads to efficiency and risk mitigation. Conducting risk assessments and following safety guidelines can lead to more efficient manufacturing processes and reduced production costs. Additionally, it mitigates the risk of accidents and potential liabilities. And then finally, it also leads to global recognition. Some aspects of compliance with the Machinery Directive align with international safety standards. And this means that manufacturers may find it easier to demonstrate compliance with other international regulations and enter global markets.
So now that we know a little bit more about notified bodies and conformity assessments, let's review how exida could help you. We've got extensive capabilities around the world, a great deal of deep expertise, broad lifecycle support services, and we're a global assessment and certification leader. Let's take a look at each of those areas a little deeper. So we always talk about, we're proud how we can engage a client where they are. And we think about our offering in 3 levels. So at the bottom level, we have a knowledge level. A lot of that is captured into our products. That's where our software tools are, our books, our templates, and even access to if you needed help with just specific questions, you wanted to talk to an expert, we can do that. In the middle level is our lifecycle services. This is where we help with analysis or chairing HAZOPs or LOPA studies. We do that across multiple different standards, process industry standards, machinery standards, automotive standards, rail standards, mining standards, so broad expertise throughout the organization. And then finally at the top, if a client needs an assessment and/or a certificate, we can help that with our certification group. We're very proud of our technical leaders who are distributed throughout the world. So we've grown from a small group to over 150 technical leaders located in those global offices we looked at. They've got the deep technical knowledge and the proximity to you to help you on your projects. As we get into lifecycle services, we have a unique perspective where we can bring functional safety, operational technology, cybersecurity, and even alarm management and take a look at those 3 life cycles together. There's a lot of overlap between those life cycles, and proper risk mitigation often includes all 3 of them. If you look at that holistically from the beginning, you can save significant cost on projects, and this systematic capability can be leveraged across the life cycles and give you a very strong foundation. For asset owners, we've got a complete solution stack, and that starts at the tool level. We have the Excellentia suite, which is a very strong suite that covers the complete life cycle, and then we have very knowledgeable people that will help you with functional safety, cybersecurity, and alarm management. Another unique thing that we've developed is we've developed an integrated process risk maturity model. And we've kind of noticed over the years that clients are at different levels of maturity. So sometimes we get a call because there's a problem and they need to solve a specific problem. But then we realize sometimes we don't get a call back from that client until there's another problem. And we kind of realize that not everybody is on this path, and we can help people get on a path from doing things right, which is, say, complying to a requirement, to doing the right things, that is developing a more holistic look at their plant and their risk management. So we've developed quite an extensive offering there. We're a global leader in automation certification, both for logic solvers, final elements, and transmitters, and we're a leader in operational technology, cybersecurity. And in fact, we were instrumental in writing some of the early standards. So that expertise really helps manufacturers to get a product to market effectively and efficiently, but one that also is at the highest level of compliance and robustness for use in critical systems. From day one, we've had an open certification process, which really helps us interface with our customers and helps you know where you are in a project. So we have very well-defined steps with the inputs and outputs and who's responsible for them. We always assess against our documented assessment scheme. So that means anywhere in the world that you're working with exida, you're going to get the same high level of expertise and review. And we work from a safety case for functional safety or a security case for cybersecurity that clearly documents progress against the requirements and is a way we use to communicate back and forth so people know exactly where they are. So with those different areas, the tools, the safety lifecycle services, the assessment and certification, we're able to meet you where you are and help you get to that next level that you're trying to achieve. Now let's take a few minutes. We have a few minutes for questions and answers, so we'll be happy to talk to you about that. Thank you.